Oh man, the videos are getting crazier and crazier, and they talk about things I wouldn't have thought I would talk about a few months ago. Alright, hoi! What's up guys, and welcome to a NoFap hard mode video. So I did NoFap hard mode for the last 3 months, and I will talk about the things that it has taught me and the bad and the good things about it. So before starting to talk about the good and the bad things, I also want to share why I started NoFap. So I heard a lot of times that NoFap really benefits you in terms of energy, in terms of drive, not only sex drive, but also concentration, productivity and focus. So it basically only increases your drive, so your willingness to do things, and it also increases your testosterone. And because I heard all of those things, I decided I will give it a shot. So before starting the 3 months of NoFap hard mode in September, I already did NoFap normal mode, I think it's called. So that's the mode where you don't use porn while masturbating. So I didn't do that for years. I was never really a fan of porn, and I always thought it's a bad industry and I don't want to support that. So therefore I didn't watch porn for years now, and I was always proud of that. But I was fapping regularly, so I think once a week, or I tried to reduce it for once a week, but that wasn't always possible. So I even had phases where I fapped every day, and I realized you get more sluggish, you get lazy, and yeah, I realized more and more the negative sides of fapping, especially if you fap a lot. So therefore I decided to do NoFap hard mode in September. So I started on September 15th, I think, and in the beginning it wasn't really hard because I just started my lean bulk, so I started to increase my calories, and therefore my sex drive increased slowly because I did a diet before, and after doing a diet I realized always that the testosterone is pretty low. You have lower energy levels, so I think it needs a little time to regulate those levels again and increase the testosterone. So therefore it wasn't hard in the beginning to do NoFap, so I think the first month was not so hard, but then it started to get harder and harder. And while the benefits in the beginning were strong, they lowered and lowered, and the bad sides began to raise. But before I start to talk about the bad things, I want to share the good things about NoFap that I experienced. And that was definitely the drive, so I was never so productive the last few months in terms of video editing, training, reading, and fulfilling tasks in general. So I was really disciplined in that regard, and I realized I had a lot of energy to be productive. Also, my focus and concentration really increased, and therefore it was easier to make progress in life. So these are definitely the good things about NoFap. And another thing that I also realized is that I got more confident. Especially I realized that I felt stronger, but that has also to do because the things I endured this year, or the problems I faced the last few months, that really strengthened me, and I realized that with NoFap too. So these are basically the normal things a lot of people say they experience while doing NoFap. So these are the good sides of the masculine, or the masculine energy, because these are main traits of positive masculinity, like building things, progressing on things, and being disciplined on things. But now I want to also talk about the bad things that occurred while I was doing NoFap, and I also read that these are the bad side of masculinity, or it's also often called the wounded masculinity. And these traits were being a little selfish, being stuck in my own mind, being not in touch with my own emotions, so not listening to my body when things occur or when I feel certain things, and the last, constant feeling of defending myself. I want to give you examples of those traits that occurred on me while doing NoFap hard mode. And yeah, the first thing was selfish, so I realized that I forgot the most important thing in life, and that thing is serving others, or being in service of others. Because communities, friends, people in general, we are social animals, and we have to look after each other. And if you forgot that, or if you act selfish in your own interest without considering being in service to others, you are not only harming others, you are also harming yourself. And I realized that with things like I isolated myself more and more. I talked about being lonely on my journey, as I can link the video up here. And afterwards I realized a lot of those things I did to myself. So I forgot about building a connection with other people to strengthen my relationship with them, and I was always in my own head. So that was another thing of the bad traits of masculine energy. I always had the feeling I have to push things further alone, I have to do this, I have to do this. So I constantly woke up and I knew what I have to do. I did the things that I had to do, but there was no joy in the things that I did. And I remember driving to work oftentimes and I just thought, there's no joy for me in this life. I just have to do those things, those things, those things. And that's something I realized was so wrong, because in the beginning of the year I was so focused always on being present, being in the moment, and I think I was really progressing in that regard, but yeah, since fall I completely forgot that. I only wanted to push things further, to make more money, to make progress in the gym, and it was a constant forcing. So I always forced things instead they happen naturally if I do things and if I do things with presence. Therefore I also lost touch with my own emotions. I disregarded my own emotions. If I felt lonely, I thought that's what's being a young man. You have to feel alone, you have to work, build things, progress things, and there are no other people that are going to help you. And that was so wrong. And I realized that on the trip to Dubai with Goji, because he was so supportive and he helped me so much until now on my journey, and especially there with editing and creating videos, footage and stuff like that. So that's not true. If you always think you have to do everything alone and be selfish and others aren't here to support you, then you're basically destroying yourself. And I realized that if I continued like that, if I continued all those traits that I had in fall, then I realized I'm slowly destroying myself. And after returning to South Tyrol after the Dubai trip, I realized the last bad thing about masculinity, or if you're too much on the toxic side of masculinity, as it often called, or as it is often called, or the wounded masculinity, that I had the feeling that I had to constantly defend myself. I know that, like I said before, when I returned to South Tyrol, my dad asked me about certain things in my life or how I'm doing with the things that I'm pursuing. He said to myself that I should watch for other things, so maybe start to be a trainer somewhere or start something more, because he of course wants that. He sees that I'm making progress, and with YouTube it's a slow progress, so if you don't see progress pretty soon, then of course he gets a little worried, or he thinks I'm not on the right path. And as I often say to myself, or as I'm often feeling, I feel I'm completely there where I should be, or I like what I'm doing, or I love what I'm doing, and I think that's the best thing that can happen to you. And there I also had the feeling I have to defend myself, and then you build a barrier, and that wasn't really good, because like I said before, I want to have healthy relationships, and I know my dad only wants the best for me, so therefore he was a little bit worried, but it wasn't so bad as it was for me in the moment. So I think some things are bad, or you have to control yourself about your masculine energy, and these are the things that can get out of control or can get pretty crazy if you're on NoFap, or if you aren't used to such a high amount of masculine energy. So therefore I decided after 3 months I will end it, because like I said before, I realized I can't handle it anymore. So I think on December 10th I fed again, so I think roughly 3 months, only 5 days were left, but who cares about those 5 days. And after that I feel great again. Since December in general I feel great again. I got in touch again with people, I reconnected with people, I reconnected with God especially. That's also something that I learned this year, that you're never alone. God is always with you, and you have to trust the process. You have to trust God that He's guiding you through. You can't do everything alone, and sometimes you have the feeling, especially if you're a man, that you have to fight with your little sword through everything, but you have to realize you have such little control over certain things, and you need to trust God that He's coming with a bigger sword and He's helping you, or He's making the work that you can't see, because what do you want to do? You're such a small individual, and how do you think you can fix certain things or outside events or stuff like that. So yeah, the last 3 weeks or months were pretty crazy. I'm happy now that I succeeded with trying out NoFap hard mode for 3 months. But I realize now I need balance. That's the same with alcohol. So I really look forward to New Year's Eve to have a little break or to have alcohol again, because I realize life is everything about balance. Every extreme is not good for you, and the same is with NoFap. So I think I will limit it to once a month. So I think then you have the positive things of NoFap and you avoid the negative ones. Sure, if you practice it more and more, you can balance those traits better, and I think you're more aware of the bad things about masculine energy and then you handle them better. But for me, it was too much to handle, so I have to get my body used to that and then maybe progress from time to time. So maybe once a month, then once in 2 months, and so on and so forth. And yeah, as soon as I have a girlfriend, for example, of course I will have sex, but without having a girlfriend, that's no option for me. That's also a thing I considered at the end of NoFap. So in the end of November, you really want to get your semen out, and then you even consider having sex with other women or other girls. But I constantly reminded myself, no, that's not the way I want to live. I don't want to start things like that. So to start hooking up or to have one night stands, I was never a fan of that. I will never want to participate in that, because I think it's not something you can look up to, because I think it's mostly done because you want to increase your ego, or you do it because you want to look cool or whatever. But yeah, it was never something I looked up to in people that have one night stands, so I will never consider starting that. And yeah, like I said in my relationship or love talk video, I think that's not the right way to live by. So yeah, my conclusion is balance is key. NoFap in general is good if you can handle the good and the bad traits of masculinity. And yeah, I definitely recommend it to you guys to try it out too. You learn a lot of things about you, and you also get to know your own masculine energy better and understand it more. And I think if you're young, or you have to have stages where you go into extreme with everything so that you know your limits. And I think it was good for the time I did it. So for fall it was the best I could do, because like I said, I was very productive. I put out a lot of vlogs and videos in general I wouldn't have put out if I would have been lazier, or if I wouldn't practiced NoFap, so I'm proud of that. But now it's a calmer time. That doesn't mean that I want to get lazier, but I want to trust more God, and I want to have more balance in things, and I want to get back to my path, to be in service of other people, because yeah, like I said before, that's the highest good you have in that life. And yeah, I want to reconnect with people more, and yeah, enjoy life eventually. Because yeah, that's what we all want to do, because we only have that life and it should be enjoyable, and you are the person in charge of that. So yeah, keep that in mind. I hope you enjoyed that video. Maybe share in the comment section your experiences with NoFap. That would be really interesting. And yeah, we'll see us in the next video. So goodbye, vielen Dank, and have a nice fucking evening.